joint. Let's let all that go. And we're going to hold on to all the sweet memories for this week. I know for the kids, a lot of them in this region were off all week. And I know that's a wonderful thing for the kids, not so much for the parents. But we're going to take in all of that wonder one more time. And Cantor and Paul Staley are going to open us off with 648, Shiru Ladonai, one of the traditional psalms entering into Shabbat. I'd like to read a poem that Sheila Bernard Tucker sent me called Cuckoo Bird. To my cuckoo bird, is it really you? What a tough winter I went through. I looked out my window, gray skies all around. Every day freezing, cold snow covered the ground. I stared into the sky and prayed you were safe, my cuckoo. Is it cuckoo? Cuckoo. My cuckoo bird hiding from the cold someplace. Remember the first day we met, I was feeling a sudden rush of warm air all around. Then I heard this quite comical sound. I knew it was a bird. Saw funny looking you perched and shouted to me, cuckoo. There's a tongue twister here. Every morning I would awake smiling to this odd little bird calling out to me, cuckoo. I know clearly this I heard. Whenever the dark night would start to fade, you'd bring some friends and start a serenade. You woke me this morning, cuckoo, you shouted. I could hear you clearly sing. How happy I am you're safe, my cuckoo. Together again we wait for the spring. What a sweet poem. Thank you. And I think it's a true story too as well. I'd like to invite up Bruce Corse, our immediate past president, and it won't be too long. I don't know how much longer I can say that. Immediate past president to officially welcome you.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Nice to see everyone here in the room, and of course, welcome to those of you watching in the stream. We hope that more of you, as we get more comfortable with this, will be joining us in person. I just want to remind you all of something I said last week, which is that we have taken a big step forward. We have transitioned from evaluating each week and making a decision on whether to be in person to being in person until further notice. Obviously, something could come up, and certainly if our service had been 7 o'clock this morning instead of 7 o'clock tonight, we would have said, it's a little slippery, stay home. And even though we are now hitting the end of February, and hopefully through the worst of it for winter, but I probably just put a cahor on us, we still certainly get snowstorms in March. So it is conceivable that there will be a Friday where the weather will keep us from doing this, and we'll do it via Zoom, and it's nice to have that as our fallback, but it is our fallback. Being in person is what we should be doing, it's what we want to be doing, it's what you guys want, And we are doing that until further notice, unless something happens. And I think that was a big step forward, and it was an exciting step for us to take. So enjoy the service. Cantor and the rabbi and Paul have all sorts of nice stuff planned for you. I'll be back later with the announcements. Once again, a lot of stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. Shabbat Shalom.
And Bruce, what a wonderful job matching. I love that. That sweater is perfect with that shirt.
I go for it.
All right, if there's any technologists out there, I have a wish and a desire. I've been hoping for at least 15 years, all right? When you go, we often use Google Maps. You can use any map program, and you try to plan our trip. We were coming back from Binghamton today, and I want to be able to see the weather exactly along the route. Wouldn't that be great? You drive, and you could adjust your route based on the weather. So if anyone's a technologist, please, it might make you $1 billion, and I'll still be happy. We're going to officially welcome in Shabbat, or the Angels of Shabbat, on page 142 with Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. B'chem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barkuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidkem v'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malachei Hamelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
I often think of the Angels of Shabbat as our personal masseuse, that they come and they make sure our shoulders and our body can loosen. And the rabbis actually think about that. They say we are supposed to vayinafash, to rest on Shabbat. And what is vayinafash? It comes from the root for soul. And so they say on Shabbat we get a second soul, because without it we wouldn't be able to rest. We'd want to rush around. We'd feel aches and pains, but when we get our second soul, it's like a second wind, and we feel strong enough to be able to actually rest on Shabbat. I'd like to invite up Harvey Horowitz, who has the honor as a Boy Scout. I think he was he ever any? He's been to many Boy Scout events with me, so he assures me he knows how to light our candles on page 120. Actually, those little devices, lighters, they're actually quite tricky to light. Page 120, as we light candles. Oh no, I hope. See, I spoke too soon. It's a trick one, right? For those of you joining us virtually, we invite you to light the candles in your own home. And Cantor will lead us. Oh, and Harvey's going to lead us. May the candles light our way, and why don't you lift up our Kiddush cup that is still yet to be filled, and Cantor will lead us in the blessing on page 123.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Abre Priakafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uv'ratzon hinhilanu, zikaron l'maseh Bereshit, ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש, זכר לציון מצרים, כי באנו ובחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו, ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen. L'chaim. To one day having a full cup once again. We are going to officially now welcome Shabbat into the room. I think that we're ready. We're sufficiently warmed up enough. We'll turn to page 138 for L'chadodi. And we'll sing the first and the ninth verse. On the ninth verse, we're going to stand up and we're going to face Marina out there, who's been our hero at welcoming everyone today. We'll bow to our Shabbat bride as she enters into the room. And then we welcome each other with a kingly and a queenly wave here.
Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Try with me. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Shamot v'sachor b'dibur echad ishmianu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad shemo tiferet v'litila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Let's do it again. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha ובצהלה תוך אמונה המסגולה בואי חלה לך
And we welcome each other.
לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת
We remain standing for our call to prayer, page 146 for the Baruch.
Baruch et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam vaed.
And we continue on page 148 with a special melody. I don't know if we've done this, God of Creation.
Yes,
Okay.
but we haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah, a long time. Wonderful.
souls with peace. Baruch atah Adonai Elohim melech haolam asher bivaro ma'ariv aravim b'chokma poteach she'arim Baruch atah Adonai
At the bottom of page 149, please join with me in the English reading. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Haravim. And the Shema is on page 152, 153.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Amen.
You may be seated, page 154.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'otecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher Anochi mitzavlecha hayom ha'levafecha v'shinamta levanecha v'dibarta pam v'shivtecha b'veitecha v'velachtecha b'derech v'v'shochtecha v'v'kumecha v'kshartam le'ot hayadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Let's read together on 155. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. We're going to turn to the Mi Chamocha, page 158.
Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha neta b'kodesh, nora tehillah al zechela Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'elianu ve'amaru, Adonai imlach, Adonai imlach, le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar, ki v'adarna et Yaakov, u'galam yad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gol Yisrael.
Invite you to rise if you're able. We're going to take a couple minutes for our silent prayers and meditation, starting on 164 and going through 180. Take an opportunity now for those own private prayers, whether in Hebrew, English, or just the prayers of your heart. Whenever you're ready, you may be seated.
Oseh shalom bimrama, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu, Yaakov Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu, Yaakov Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu, Yaakov Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu, v'yakol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu, v'yakol Yisrael.
Boy, those words are more important than ever as we pray for peace, not only in Ukraine, but in our world. We could use some prayers for peace right now. We're going to turn to our healing prayer, and it's actually in your leaflet, but I'm going to read our list. And we have so many people within our community and without that are in need of extra prayers, and we send them. Hopefully it helps a little bit as they go through what they do. Of course, we had a really difficult loss this week. Leslie Schumann Kramer, who has been on our list for a while, young and vibrant, and a terrible loss to our community. But we're grateful that she's no longer in pain. But We send lots of prayers out to these individuals. After I read our list, if you have other names you'd like to offer, feel free to do so, or you can write them if you're on social media and you want to share the names that way as well. As a community, we are thinking about Sean Behrens, Stephen Bernstein, Ebony Burse, David Bush, Angie Byrnes, Christopher Crawford, Dee Denzel, Arthur Dezelke, Sue Frank, Nancy Hersbrunn, Paul Jones, Tracy Kasman, Gail Kleberg, Mark Nightinger, Manny Quichin, Gail Lewis, Larry Max, Jean McGarry, Barbara McGovern, Helene Mesh, Jennifer Milich, Jill Shire Manaham, Ida Nevler, Carol Olashansky, Barbara Organic, Shel Rossi, Brandon Ryan, Ron Sellers, Don Sherman, Mimi Shapiro, David Shevat, Christopher Smith, Paul Staley, Lorenzo Stewart, Athena Tucker Pasiak, Jean Taransky, Anita Wiesel, Dr. Peter Winkelstein, Mark Yablin, Elizabeth Jeezy Yeager, Jean Zika, Gula Nava Bat Moshe, Chana Ezra Ben Shul, Penina Sara Bat Chana, Rabbi Dror Settle, and Rachel Shoshana. If we have other names you want to offer.
Roger Marchioni and Linda Vegas. Did you say was the yahrzeit of Rabbi Dror Settle?
No, not the yahrzeit. She's Dror is having some cancer treatments now.
Oh, okay, because I just wished her happy birthday.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No problem. Yeah, I'm sure she appreciated. So we're going to hold all those names into our hearts. And remember, it's in your leaflet. A lot of you are familiar. This is the prayer that Cantor has already introduced us to. So sing along now.
Dear God of our ancestors,
Dear God of our ancestors,
help us renew our faith.
help us to renew our faith.
Grant us the perfect healing.
Grant us the perfect healing.
Bring peace to all our days.
Bring peace to all our days.
Restore our strength of body.
Restore our strength of body.
Help clarify our minds.
Help clarify our minds.
Refresh our tired spirits.
Refresh our tired spirits.
Rejuvenate our life.
Rejuvenate our lives. Thank you for all these blessings.
Throughout our days and nights.
Throughout our days and nights.
We celebrate the journey.
We celebrate the journey.
This precious gift of life.
This precious gift of life.
In honor of
complete healing of body and soul. Boy, Paul, you sound terrific tonight. It's great. Cantor as well, of course. And it's also good, Cantor, they're really getting it. I can see they're singing along with you.
Very meaningful song to me.
I think for me now, too, for all of us, that's the wonderful thing. Cantor can pick out a song that's found meaning and really transmit that to all of us, which is wonderful. And we're very glad to have her back. It was nice to have Harvey stepping in last week. We really appreciated last minute, but we're mostly very happy to have Cantor back on her feet and ready and singing beautifully tonight. So how many of you have been to a sports game where the temperature in the room or in the stadium starts getting hotter and hotter and hotter? And it starts with some little grumbling, and then that grumbling gets a little louder and louder and louder. Have you had that experience before? Well, believe it or not, my family and I, we decided we were at Binghamton this week, as I mentioned before, and we decided to take the kids to a basketball game. And here I was thinking, University of Binghamton, it's pretty quiet basketball school, part of the American East, and they were playing Vermont, which seems to me a pretty mellow state. So I thought we would be in for a nice, quiet, enjoyable game. So we went. This was their final home game of the year. Some of you are familiar with Binghamton. I see you shaking your heads already. And as we're going in, I see a lot of professor types that probably are the regulars there. It was only about half full, the stadium. And we sat down in the seats. We got seats with backing, which are a couple extra dollars a piece, but it's still a college game, so not too bad. And in front of us, there was a nice older couple. Behind us, there was a person that looked like a mother and a father. A man and his mother, and the man had a big picture with someone's jersey on the Binghamton team, and it had number 23 on it. So I didn't really pay much attention to them. I was mostly just trying to keep our kids in order. And as the game proceeds, University of Vermont got out right away to a huge lead. So I thought, well, better luck next time to Binghamton. And what I didn't know is that the temperature in the room was starting to rise. And in front of me, the person who was the older gentleman was a big University of Binghamton fan and was not very happy with the refs. And he starts kvetching, as we say, at the refs. Kvetches a little bit, kvetches a lot. His voice is getting louder and louder, telling them how awful they are, telling them that this is the home stadium, they need to be nicer to the team. And behind me, there is the gentleman. It turns out the person wearing the number 23, that's his son that's on the court, and he's kvetching at the coach for not putting his son in enough. And so we have kvetching in front of us about the refs, kvetching behind us about the coach. And this goes on through the whole game. I honestly thought at one point maybe there was a fight going on. It was really close. There was one incident where the person got a pretty severe call. I think it's a number 1 foul, so they got some extra foul shots. And I thought maybe we're about to have a brawl here at Binghamton. Thankfully, that didn't happen, and it ended up being an enjoyable game. But it was an example about how things can go from here to there so quickly. We, of course, have seen that this week in the world, and this has been building for a while. And to see war break out, which is so rare these days, it's really so tragic as well, with no resolution in sight. But we can see how the temperature in rooms can really grow and grow and grow. I'm going to talk tonight about the antidote to that. And I want to talk about something we read in the Talmud, in our weekly Talmud study this past week. And it's from Chagiga. And it was a shocking text, a very short text, but I want to read it to you. And it's really the opposite of that feeling of division that we so often experience in this world. Rabbi Elazar interpreted the following verses homiletically. In other words, he gave a sermon on it. You have affirmed this day that the Lord is your God and that you will walk in God's ways and keeps God's statutes, God's mitzvot, and God's ordinances and listen to God's voice. And the Lord has affirmed you this day to be God's treasure as God promised you that you should keep all God's mitzvot. This is from the end of Deuteronomy. Rabbi Elazar explained, the Holy One, blessed be he, said to the Jewish people, you have made me a single entity in the world, as you singled me out as separate and unique. And therefore, I will make you a single entity in the world. This is a shocking text. We made God a single entity. How did we make God a single entity? With the words of the Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. How shocking that 2,000 years ago, the rabbis of the Talmud believed that we could have this impact on God, making God one. And because we did that to God, God made us one. There's something about this idea of God is one, we is one, the world is one. That's sort of what we pray for when we pray for peace. Because the difference between everything is one and everything is two, or everything is many, is immense. I've been reading this book, which is wonderful. It just came out. It's by Amanda Ripley. It's called High Conflict. And I got it out at the library here locally. So if you're looking, I should be done in a week or two. It's about why we get into conflict. She's a reporter, and she looks around at what American society, global society is like over the last couple of years and thinks, maybe I need to do a little research about it. What does it mean when people get into these conflicts where, as I described in the basketball game, they get louder and louder and louder until it's sort of out of control? That's what she means by high conflict. We actually have a Jewish term for it. There's two terms for conflict in the Talmud. One is machloket l'shem shamayim, a conflict in the name of heaven, which is a conflict that's healthy. At the end of it, you feel better. You do better. Everything's great. Even though you're having a conflict, it's a necessary conflict that's going on to better everyone. And that is the ideal. The other side, not so much. That's the high conflict, I would say, which is called labriut. Sinat chinam. Sinat chinam means baseless hatred, is usually how it's translated. Chinam means free. So it's free. We just throw around our hatred however we want. That is what high conflict here. And she uses the example of several of our first presidents, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams. They were actually good friends. John Adams was the senior. Thomas Jefferson was the junior. And they helped to craft, of course, the Declaration of Independence and Constitution, among other things. And they had a great working relationship until George Washington stepped down, and they ended up in a political battle between the two of them. Each of them, before the election, that very first election after George Washington, believed there should be no parties, just one. If you have parties, if you have two of anything, many of anything, suddenly you have fighting. And each of them believed in that because they knew what would happen, and it happened to them. They were very good friends. And John Adams throws his hat into the ring to become the second president of the United States, and immediately Thomas Jefferson, his junior, does as well. And that, in those days, was like a slap in the face. That was, even though you're running, I'm going to run too. I think I could beat. It was a very close election, and the friendship never recovered. They ended up running against each other next, and Thomas Jefferson won the next race, John Adams the first one, and they hated each other to the rest of their life. The divisions, by dividing into parties, into groups, it had this monstrous effect that suddenly people that were friends hated one another. And the rabbis asked the question about that. How do we maintain that oneness? That wonderful text that says that we maintain God's oneness and God maintains ours. And how? Well, the first way is tefillah, by joining together in prayer. Feel how different it is in the room right now. Maybe sometimes rabbis get heckled or cantors, I don't know, but it doesn't happen that often. It's a very different kind of room. We are one together. That's the idea. When you walk out of here, you feel that oneness. So prayer, and prayer could be interpreted much more broadly, something where we feel at one in the room together. We also have what's over there, Torah study. That's sort of what I represent in my Devar Torah right now. Study. When we study together, when we learn together, that's when we have healthy conflict. And the third way, if you haven't guessed it, this is from Pirkei Avot, is Gemilut Chasidim, which is acts of loving kindness that we have between each other. When we volunteer, when we take care of one another. In these three circumstances, we are not two, we are not many, we are one. How do you get groups to work together, to move beyond the partisanship? You pray together, you study together, and you help each other out. And when you do that, something magical happens. I think that's why the secret of why we come together at all. Because when you leave here, you feel like you weren't an individual in your individual lives. You were part of something. We connect together. Human beings feel each other. We feel each other very intimately. What happens in this world affects us. How many of you have felt this week a little bit off balance because of what's happened in Ukraine? Raise your hand if that's the case. How many of you, those of you that knew Leslie Schumann Kramer, how many of you are also feeling that? We feel that together. That's how human beings can combine, can be one, can make God one. That is how we do it. I'd like to conclude with a prayer for Ukraine. This is one that was posted online, and it's by Joanne Fink. There's some wonderful prayers out there. Holy One, source of strength, war has begun, innocent people are dying. We ask your protection for Ukraine and its citizens. We pray for their safety and the security of the country. For the neighboring countries, Hungary, Poland, Romania, among others. They have opened their borders to provide humanitarian corridors and safe passages to all those who wish to evacuate. We seek the comfort of believing that everything will be all right, even in the face of insurmountable odds. Quiet the fears that threaten to deafen us. Grant us shlemut, the inner peace we so desperately seek. Help us remain calm and reach out to those in need. May this horrific situation be diffused swiftly with minimal casualties. Bless our world leaders with the ability to work together for the greater good and the wisdom to make wise decisions during this turbulent time. Bless the people of all nations with the desire, strength, and courage to create a world based on justice and filled with peace. May the words of Isaiah 2:4, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore, become true in our day, in this very hour. Source of goodness, shine your healing light on us and all those in the Ukraine we hold in our hearts. Shelter us, shield us, show us the path to peace. And we say together, Amen. I invite you now to rise is one for the Aleinu, page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשינו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים
page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
You may be seated. We're turning to the mourner's Kaddish. I already mentioned Leslie Schumann Kramer. Her funeral will be at Temple Beth Tzedek. Those of you that didn't know her, the Schumann family has been in Buffalo for a very long time, and they've helped to really create a lot of our institutions here. Leslie was the president of our federation, our Jewish Federation here, up until this past year, and she has served on many, many boards. It is a very big loss for our overall community, and we're all very interconnected, as I know in Buffalo, maybe even some relatives here, so we just send out a lot of love and care to her family. There are lists of Shiva that are in the paper as well. On our Shloshim list, we are remembering Lee Applebaum, Bob Davis, Eric Duval, Thomas Gordon, Diane Lynch, Mary Jo Santella, Carol Sirota, and Howard Smallin. On our yard site list from years past, we remember Myrna Ackerman, Leo Adler, Reba Arbet, Jose Ash, Celia Atkin, Diane Hurwitz Baumler, Samuel Berman, Rebecca Bahovsky, Sam J. Kamhai, Harriet Cohen, Sadia Ann Cohen, Teresa Comey, Minnie Engel, Lillian B. Ensler, Alex Foreman, Morris Galinsky, Marilyn Hawk, M. Robert Koren, Inez Crone, Evelyn B. Liss, Wilbert Nusanov, Paul E. Phillips, Bernard Pleskow, Evan Remsen, Rich Rosenthal, David Rubin, Patricia H. Savitt-Barone, Max Schatzberg, Anita Schneider, John Stanley Shevat, Evelyn Shine, Gertrude Schwartz, Miriam Tenzer, Stanley J. Weinberg, and Harry Weil. If you have other names you'd like to offer, just raise your hand. All those whose custom it is to rise, please rise, page 598. Yitgadal, v'yitkadash, shemei rabbah, v'yalma, divrach, cherete, v'yamlik malchute, v'chayechon, v'yomechon, v'chayedech, beit Yisrael, v'agalav yisman, karib, yimru, amen. Yehi shmei rabbah, mevorach, le'olam, olmeo maya, yitparak, v'yishtabak, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, V'tadar, v'taleh, v'talal, shemei dekudasha, brechu, le'elamin kol berchata v'shirata, tushvachata v'nechamata, damiran bi'alma v'yimru amen, yehi shlam rabamin shemaya, chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen, oseh shalom v'yimramav, huya oseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to all the world, and we say, Amen. You may be seated. Zikronam levarcha. May their memories be for a blessing. I'd like to invite over Bruce Chorus again to offer our announcements.
Shabbat Shalom again, everyone. Thank you to Rabbi Alex, Cantor Frank, Paul Staley for tonight's very lovely, very warm service. You had some new music tonight, new old music. It was very, very nice. And as the rabbi mentioned, it's a difficult time in the world, and it's a difficult time for many of us here in Western New York. So we hope that you got some comfort by being here tonight. And whether we're in person or virtual, we're always together, and that's the nice thing. I want to thank our service greeters tonight, Marina and Mark Finkelstein, for helping to welcome people when they came in. Tomorrow morning, we have virtual offerings at 9 a.m., that's Torah study, and then the Shabbat morning service and the virtual Kiddush luncheon at 11. Both of those are via Zoom. You know, every time we say virtual Kiddush luncheon, I'm thinking it's like fake food. Real food done virtually. Got it. Anyway, the website has the Zoom links for them. There will be no religious school Sunday morning. They're on their February break. They will be back a week from Sunday, and they will be back in person, which is nice. Shalom Ruach is also on a break till March 6th. Dr. Yonina Foster will be leading that as well. Rabbi is going to be busy for the next week or two because Sunday we have the Jewish Day of Learning at the JCC Benderson building. That'll be in person and via Zoom. Rabbi Alex will be speaking about conversations on the future of Jewish Buffalo post-COVID. Are we post-COVID?
Yes,
We are. Okay. See, we're kind
I
of
don't
jumping.
remember the title. It's at 2 o'clock, not 1.
It's now
They
2 o'clock?
switched it.
Oh, because of the funeral. Okay. So that will be at 2 o'clock. Rabbi and other local clergy will be taking part in that. You can register for that by visiting the Buffalo Jewish Federation's website. Then, on Wednesday, Rabbi Alex and Reverend Bill Hennessy from our friends over at North Presbyterian Church will be getting together. That's this coming Wednesday and the following Wednesday at noon, both days, for a Zoom class called From Mardi Gras to Purim. I lived in New Orleans. I've been through Mardi Gras. I've been a member of this temple and have been through Purim spiels. I can tell you, Mardi Gras is a little more lively. But Purim spiels are still pretty good. Anyway. Tel Aviv has a good Mardi Gras? I didn't know that. Oh, okay. Okay. Anyway, so the Zoom class, Mardi Gras to Purim, the lighter side of our religious traditions. And the website will have the link for that. So speaking of religious traditions, our 10th anniversary Purim spiel is going to be on Wednesday, March 16th. That's at 7 o'clock p.m. It will be live streamed via Boxcast, Facebook, and YouTube. As of now, it is a virtual-only event. The small, very small cast will be here in the sanctuary, and you guys can watch it online. We're still a couple weeks away. It could change, but probably we're going to stay virtual for this year, as of now. However, you can swing by the temple that afternoon and pick up a Hamantashen box. Be sure to register. You've got till Wednesday to let Joanne know if you want one. You get a homemade Hamantashen, and you can pick it up between 4 and 5 o'clock on the 16th, just in time for the spiel. By the way, the reason that they need 2 weeks advance notice on the reservations is because Joanne is going to be baking all of the Hamantashen, and it's going to take her a full 2 weeks to do that. Also, the night of the Purim spiel is the night of our grand prize drawing for the Chai Club. So you can still get tickets if you want. There's still a couple more drawings between now and then. And if you do win, don't forget your tickets go back in there. So the grand prize drawings are going to be Wednesday, March 16th, right after the Purim spiel. Now, the people who win the grand prizes in the Chai Club might need some tax advice, which means maybe they should have been listening Sunday morning when our friend Ken Weinstein was the guest speaker at the men's group and talking about changes in the tax laws. Thank you to Ken for doing that. Sunday afternoon at 2, we're jumping all around here on the calendar, but Sunday afternoon at 2, the women of Shir Shalom will be attending the Jewish Repertory Theater's production of The Treasurer. See, we're staying on the money theme there. That's 2 o'clock, followed by dinner at Santora's on Millersport. If you need information about that, you can still get a ticket. Talk to Sheila. She is here in the sanctuary. Walter is with us tonight. There's a memorial service for his dad, Thomas Gordon, Monday night at 7. That will be live streamed also via Boxcast, Facebook, and YouTube. Next Friday, Erev Shabbat service will be at 7 o'clock p.m. And as I said earlier, we are in person unless something changes. So you'll still get an email on Wednesday. You still need to make your reservations. That's important because otherwise Joanne will go hog wild on the cookies. So let's give her an accurate head count. But like I said, it's just nice to be able to say, we're in person until further notice. That's really nice. And when we are in person, there will be many Friday nights that the gift shop will be open before the service. Thank you to Sue Frank for honchoing that. We will be having a Passover sale, 20% off next month. And we are having a Passover sale. All the stuff that's been in there for years, make an offer. You see something you like, talk to Sue. She'll take a deal. We're going to, of course, continue to evaluate all events and protocols week by week basis, as we've been saying all along, always thinking of your safety, but also thinking of your needs as well. If you need anything, obviously, feel free to reach out to the rabbi, the cantor, Joanne, Todd, or me. We are here for you. On your way out, don't forget to pick up an onig to go. Joanne, again, was baking all week, so please pick one up. Before we leave, before I do that, though, Paul, can I ask you to play Happy Birthday? It's going to be to you, though. This week was Paul's birthday. And how many? See, we gotta do some work for you to earn your cake. Joanne has a little something here for you.
And it was Cantor's last, was it last?
Yom Holedet
Sameach, Yom Holedet Sameach, Yom Holedet Sameach. And many more. Now we wish the Cantor. Bill, you weren't here last Friday.
Yeah,
No, I wasn't here.
we have to sing to her, okay?
Wait a minute.
Play
Now-
for
now to the
Cantor. Here we
Cantor.
go. I'm gonna have to sing, so I apologize.
Yom Holedet Sameach, Yom Holedet Sameach, Yom Holedet Sameach, Yom Holedet Sameach, and also many more.
Thank you.
Don't forget to pick up your cookies on the way out.
Yeah, we have a lot of staff birthdays this month because I think also Nancy McGorry had her birthday. Was it Joanne? Was it your birthday too? No, not yours. She's
Kyle
in
was
November.
coming up.
Kyle,
Kyle was
yeah.
coming
So to the sisterhood, our program on Sunday at 2:00 is the same time at the JCC at the same place. So we'll be above you. So I'll be thinking about you guys when you're doing that. Yeah, that's how scheduling worked. And Bruce, I'm going to be at Amberley on Tuesday. So tell your mom I'll be there at 1:30 at Amberley. Okay, so I alluded to one of the wonderful teachings from Pirkei Avot, from the Mishnah, the ethics of our parents, that is in our prayer book. It's on page 642, Al Shlosha Devarim, on three things the world stand: on prayer, on study, and on acts of loving kindness.
Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Havolam, Amen. Try with me. Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Havolam, Amen. Al HaTorah, Al HaAvodah, Al HaGemilut Chasadim, Al HaTorah, Al HaAvodah, Al HaGemilut Chasadim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Havolam, Amen. Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Havolam, Amen. That the whole world stands upon Torah, right? Avodah, al Gemilut Chasadim. On Torah, on worship, and on acts of loving kindness.
I gave my whole speech just so I could hear that. So thank you.
We haven't sung it in this sanctuary for so long. We used to have our regular Torah services.
Yeah.
We'd always put the Torah away. Right before the Torah would go away, we would do that. Or right when we were taking the Torah out, Paul.
Yeah, I think when we would go around the room with the Torah thing.
Go around the room.
All right, Bruce. Bruce, before services, went out and shoveled our driveway. So come on over here. You deserve the challah. That's the least that we can offer you, as he lifts up
He
the
did the
challah.
whole parking lot?
He did the walkway, which is that's a pretty long walkway there. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace. Please return your prayer books to the back near Joanne. And there is a oneg to go back there. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.